it. You swear I'm too comfortable, but I don't see nothing wrong with it. Lately I've been having long nights. I check my phone, baby, asking if I'm alright. I tell her, I see you later, see you all night. But right now I'm on the road, I'm on the...
All types of shenanigans. Oh my goodness. So wait, what made you stop drinking coffee?
Because the creamer was making me fat.
Gotta answer that before. How much coffee would you drink in a day?
Oh, I was in graduate school. So it was multiple.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
I was like, no more creamer for me. And then I got into the different types of creamers.
Oh, so you just go into your...
Joy was one of them. It was like, oh, but it tastes so dang good. I had to stop going to Starbucks for a while.
But you had self-control.
I had it.
And you were able to kick the habit.
But then it tastes so dang good.
Hello, Louretha. How you doing? It's good to see you. Yeah, so what's up, everybody? Yeah, we're recording.
Hi.
Yeah. See, a little G and you good. We had that little conversation, little starter, and now we can kind of get into it it's a normal conversation. Just you and me talking, and that thing's just there. Okay. Welcome to the Wild Wild West, where anything is possible.
Wild Wild West.
Thanks to you and your skills and party planning. So that's pretty cool. I like this. We were putting this up, Jeremy and I were putting this up. It was like, oh shoot, this is kind of dope.
Yeah.
I'm kind of digging this.
They have a lot of them. They have a lot of scenes on Amazon.
There's so much stuff out there. Just to you kind of cut off. So I need a dedicated camera person. So make sure you cut off. All right, we're good. All right, so let's get to introductions. Okay. Y'all know who I am. If you don't know, I'm Steve Knight. I am the host, owner, creator of The Night Show. And if it's your first time listening, welcome. And today I have with me the very talented, the very awesome Dr. Louretha Adams.
Hi.
Yes. Louretha, tell folks about yourself. Let them know what you're into. And,
oh my God, it's a lot.
Yeah,
okay.
I read your bio. It's long.
You did?
Yeah.
Which bio?
Well, your LinkedIn and then all the college stuff
LinkedIn.
And then some other stuff, you know.
Some stuff on LinkedIn that I started.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then COVID ended. Okay, so my name is Louretha Adams. It's a lot to know. What do you want to know about me? Okay,
so you're a doctor in neuropsychology.
So you want me to say my whole educational?
Yeah. Just kind of your educational background. So
okay, so some people who start off as army brats,
yeah.
I feel like I started off as a college brat.
Yeah.
I only say that because my mom, she works at USC.
USC, yep.
She retired, but she worked at USC for 30 years, and it was in the 80s. So I was always on her campus. Mm-hmm. She worked there, so I was at work, and she taught me how to file books and check patrons in and out. So I started doing that at a young age, and I was always on her college campus. And then when I got into school, when I went to undergrad, I went to undergrad at California State University, Dominguez Hills. Mm. But before that, I was at Los Angeles Southwest College. So I started off with my 2-year degree to get my AA because it was a lot cheaper than going to a 4-year institution straight away. Yeah. So I got my AA in psychology at Southwest, and then I transferred to California State University, Dominguez Hills. Mm-hmm.
So not a long title at all.
I know, right? Carson, California. Yep. You guys are out there today. Mm-hmm. My alma mater. So I received my BA in psychology, and then I double minored in small business management and sociology. Mm. And then I left there. I did a lot of internships. So I did an internship at the University of Pennsylvania, or Penn State Universities. And I was able to go, it's called the MERT program, mm-hmm. Minority International Research Training Program. And that's where I was able to go to South Africa. I did research in South Africa for 3 months.
And that's when you met.
That's where I met Zetu,
Yeah.
my bestest friend in the whole wide world.
Love you, Zetu.
Love you, Zetu. So we went to Paris first. I was there for like a whole week, and I met some of the people from the World Health Organization. Paris was awesome. And then we went to South Africa. I was there for 3 months, and I worked with Zetu. We did a lot of, I was basically helping with the literature review with the principal investigator, looking at street kids and the alcohol prevalence amongst them. Street kids are just kids. They're basically like homeless, and they live on the street.
Yeah.
And looking at the prevalence of alcohol use amongst the street kids. So I did that. I learned a lot.
I'm sure.
in South Africa. And then I left there and I went straight into graduate school, Howard University. Yeah, HU, you know.
It's a big week for HU right now. Yeah, with the vice president of the U.S. being an HU alum. Y'all, I see y'all out there. I see y'all.
Yeah, a lot of stuff is happening with HU. They just got a big endowment, huge endowment. So hopefully they'll use that to build up a school a little bit more, so it'll look like USC school.
I like that.
Yeah. Oh, USC is like, it's like a city.
Oh yeah, it's crazy getting on that campus.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, that's like the last time I was there was before I transferred to Alaska, but it looks like a city.
You should see it now.
Good God.
It's huge.
Okay.
Where was I? Graduate school.
Grad school.
Howard University. Landed there. Got my master's in neuropsychology, and then I got my doctorate in neuropsychology. And then I left there. I graduated in 2014, and then I just started teaching. I was adjunct professor, and I'm still an adjunct professor because when I came back here in California, it's kind of hard to get a full-time position because it's such a competitive spot. And plus, when I would go to interviews for full-time positions, I went up against dinosaurs. So there's like 2 rounds. You have your first preliminary round with the department, and then you have the second round, which is with the president and the vice president, provost. So I would make it to the second round, and then I'm up against people who are like 60, 60 years old, and they're looking at me like, you don't even rate. So, but I was happy to get to the second round.
Yeah. I can imagine there's a lot of folks that don't even get that far.
Well, yeah, but there's a lot of budget cuts too, and plus it's cheaper to hire an adjunct versus a full-time professor. So even USC, like, they're all hiring a lot of adjuncts to teach versus hiring a full-time professor, paying them what they're actually worth. Yeah, and we all have the same degrees, which is not really fair. So I'm trying to set my sights elsewhere.
I feel like that's like problematic, like almost in every industry.
Yeah.
Like you kind of like bottleneck it in a sense, and then you just have like this flush of people, and you can just kind of use the workforce like subscription based. Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. And that's also still a problem in academia. Yeah. Shoot.
It is. It's a huge problem. Which kind of forced me to do other things. So, like, I'm starting my business now. I have a lot of business projects in mind.
Yeah, you
One
do.
I just started, which is event planning.
Which was fun, yeah.
Black box events. I'm loving that. I'm able to use my creativity in a lot of ways. And then my next venture is Purpose Forward Clothing. It's a clothing line, which really is it's a lot of the sayings that I create, but a lot of it has to do with numerology as well. So you'll see, like, some people can tap into that. So you see like 333, 444, 22, a lot of that all the time, 1111. So a lot of my shirts have that on there. It's mostly shirts. Okay. But yeah, that's my next venture.
I'm ready to see it.
After I get event planning really off the ground.
Well, I've seen what you've done with the event planning. Yeah. It's kind of a proof of it. And it was crazy. Like, this whole place actually looked like a saloon. Like, you can't see it from the other side of the camera, but like there's still like some stuff up. And
it's saloon.
It was a saloon, man. It got the saloon doors right there. It's pretty dope. Yeah. So it kind of made you go into like psychology and neuroscience specifically.
So I come from a background of like family interested in medicine and law. So I kind of took after my grandmother in a way, because she was like always in the books, and she was a RN, registered nurse. Yep. So I always saw her doing research in medicine, and it just, for some reason, I just took to it. Like, it was, understanding medicine was easy for me. So I knew I wanted to go into medicine. I didn't know if I wanted to become a medical doctor or go into something where I can have the PhD. Psychology I was always into because I like to think about things in creative ways, to like understand why things are the way they are, especially when it came to people. I like to listen to people and understand who they are, figure out like what's going on with them naturally. So I was kind of tossed. I didn't torn between the two. So then I was like, when I found out about what neuropsychology was, I'm like, okay, so neuro and psychology, to me, that was like the best of both worlds, medicine and psychology. So like kind of merged the two for me.
Shoot.
Yeah.
So what's like the, I guess outside of academia, like what's the route for somebody who like studied neuropsychology?
Neuropsychology, it's many routes. So you can be a clinician. Most neuropsychologists work along with clinical psychologists, or they'll have like a clinical background themselves, and they can become a clinical neuropsychologist and then branch off and have their own practice or work in the hospital. It's just that was my first plan. But when I got to Howard, that's when I first got there, that's when they switched over to where you cannot switch to clinical anymore. So there was a neuro side and then there was a clinical side. Normally the neuro students, if they wanted to take the neuro clinical track, then you can branch over to the clinical side once you finish the coursework in neuro. But when I got there, they stopped that. So I just took straight neuropsychology path, which is nothing but research. My research was based in stress. Like my dissertation looked at the racial identity as a buffer against the effects of perceived stress on HIV seropositive African American men.
Okay, so just something very light, nothing too heavy.
Nothing too. Well,
Okay.
So specifically, I did a lot of research looking at how stress affects the physical body.
Right.
So with the seropositive men, I looked at the biomarkers of HIV. So specifically the CD4 cell counts. CD means cluster differentiation 4. So basically your CD4 is a part of your immune system and it's divided into two sections. So your you have cluster differentiations 4, which basically means it is a specific cluster of cells that helps it mediates your immune system responses to different things. So it basically, your CD4, the CD4 cells helps to traffic the immune cells where they need to be based on what the body is going through. So if you say for instance got a cut or something,
right.
then they would traffic those immune cells. They will proliferate and traffic those immune cells to that site to
help
fight
heal.
off in type of invaders like pathogens, antigens, bacteria, what have you.
Right.
So I looked at CD4 cell count, which is a part of the immune system, and I looked at the RNA viral load, which is the HIV virus.
Right.
So I was wondering how having racial identity, so basically looking at how you identify with your race as a social buffer against the effects of stress on those biomarkers, CD4 cell counts, and HIV RNA viral loads. So before I go there, stress, acute stress, so acute stress is like everyday short-term stress.
Right.
Things that you're not faced with every day.
Right.
Then you have chronic stress, which is ongoing stress, like poverty, for example.
Yes.
That's chronic.
Yeah.
Disease. It's chronic stress. So when you're faced with chronic stress, the main glucocorticoid, which is cortisol, that affects your body, it makes the CD4 cell counts downregulate. So what that means is on the surface of the CD4 cells, you have receptors. And during acute stress, cortisol has an affinity for those receptors, which helps it to traffic where it needs to
Right.
it needs to go, and help it to proliferate cytokines. The thing is when you're exposed to chronic stressors, you're exposed to higher levels of cortisol,
Right.
which means that your CD4 cell counts, they have a mechanism that helps to counter-regulate the effects of constantly being exposed to higher levels of cortisol, which means that they'll pull in their receptors. Once they pull in their receptors, they're not going to respond to the cortisol, which means that you can get cut, you can get sick, but it takes your body longer to heal because it's no longer responding to cortisol because it has downregulated. It's like, look, I need to take a break. I am overworked and underpaid. So leave me alone. I need the time to recoup.
Oh man.
Yeah. So that's the normal effects of cortisol on the CD4 cell count. And then when it comes to the RNA viral loads with HIV, once you become infected with HIV, well, okay, so I should back it up. When you become, so how you become infected with HIV is once the virus enters your body, it looks for the CD4 cells because it has, on its surface, it has this like glycoprotein on the surface that it has an affinity for, and it attaches to the CD4 cell. Once it attaches to the CD4 cell, it releases its viral contents inside of the CD4 cell. And so the RNA viral load itself, it has a single strand. It's like a single strand DNA cell. Once it releases its contents inside of the CD4 cell count, it reverse transcribes its anatomy to make the cell, to trick the body into thinking it's a double-stranded DNA. So it takes over the CD4 cell. And then when it's time for the normal CD4 cells to divide, as if it's proliferating to fight off bacteria, it's actually making more of the virus.
And making more, okay. Oh, wow.
So when you have HIV, that's why when you go to get tested to see if you have it, or they're testing your cell counts, they're trying to see how many healthy cells you actually have. So when you're affected, your CD4 cell counts will actually be lower. The lower it gets, the more you are going towards having AIDS. So it's below a certain cell count, CD4 cell count, and that renders you, not real renders you, but it indicates whether you have AIDS or not.
Right.
So it just tells you where you are on the trajectory leading to AIDS from HIV. So with all that being said, when you have stress, chronic stress, such as chronic stress or like having a disease, that means that your CD4 cells are already affected because they downregulate because you're stressed out, and then you have HIV,
right, which is
means
already
that they're completely compromised.
Yeah.
Which means that you're going to go fast from the trajectory of having HIV to AIDS, which there's no cure for that.
Right.
For AIDS.
Right.
HIV, yes, they can slow down the trajectory, and there's some people they're asymptomatic.
Right.
And they can't understand that either. So then I wanted to look at, with these African American men, we have a different paradigm, a mental paradigm, because I feel like we're more stressed out than others because we're African American. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we have that social stressor component that as it really is a chronic stressor that already lowers the CD4 cell count.
Right.
Now we have HIV,
right,
which lowers it. So I'm looking at whether having some type of racial identity, like a social identity, a network that's good for like social support and coping, would that buffer the effects of stress on the CD4 cell count and the RNA viral load?
Okay. That makes sense.
So what I found,
right.
So what I hypothesized was that African American men who had higher racial identity, so they identify more with their culture,
right,
as a social network,
right,
helping, coping. If that would, so people with higher racial identity would have lower RNA viral loads, was the first hypothesis. Also, African American men with higher racial identity would have higher CD4 cell counts and higher health-related quality of life. So what I actually found was that the African American men who had higher racial identity, it's a lot to keep up mentally.
No, I'm with it. I'm tracking.
Higher racial identity levels, they actually had higher stress, lower stress levels.
Right.
But I did not find a statistically significant association between racial identity and any of the HIV biomarkers. They weren't related.
Okay.
So I was thinking that maybe because I had 63 participants in my study, and I was thinking maybe because the majority of this participants, they smoke marijuana, which does affect your stress levels, keeps it down, and it does affect your immune system. So
yeah.
that could have been like a cofactor that I didn't control for that affected my results.
Okay.
So basically that's what I found. But I have not replicated the study or extended the study in any way since then.
Okay.
But that's what my dissertation was about.
Wow.
In a nutshell.
That's super interesting. I mean, like it would make sense, and I think, you know, especially with like the science that's coming out from the medical, like from all these medical sources about the benefits of, you know, a lot of what we would call drugs, but are more so medicine historically, especially in like indigenous cultures, African cultures, throughout the world, throughout history. Like, you know, they lean on these things and they help them, like that'd be like ibogaine and in Africa. And now you're seeing like a lot of, I was watching this documentary the other day, and it's like all these Navy SEALs and these Delta Force guys, Special Ops guys are going down to Costa Rica and they're going through this whole ceremony process and doing it like kind of very traditionally. And then they're able to like go back home and be with their wives and kids and all that stuff. And it's like,
How do they do that?
it's only a matter of time before, like, you know, we have to start having different conversations.
You do, because being a Navy, so I still in my neuropsychology classes, I show my students how what do you call the Navy SEALs, how they actually become a Navy SEAL.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how they really have to override their natural instincts to do what they do.
Right.
And it's like they become a different machine. It's like they become a different entity.
Yep.
Because you're overriding like the limbic system, which is fear and anxiety. Well,
Right.
the amygdala, which governs the fear and anxiety. And it's like, how do you go from doing that to like going to like basic civilian, like having a family, back and forth? How do you switch that on and off? Like there's something going on here. Like eventually something's going to give.
Yeah. No,
It's like you have to do one or the other.
that's a lot of first responders. I mean, like, just last month, we got to respond to a mudslide, and you know, it's like first day we get there, you know, we couldn't fly in because the airport was down because they had like 2 feet of rain in like basically a day, and they had like a bunch of snowball before, so it was like that was not an option. So we 10 o'clock at night, we're going on a Coast Guard ship, sailing on up. And we get there, and you just see all the devastation. You see all the houses, the roads gone, like broken, like, you know, we're talking about like 40 feet high, 60 feet high trees, like completely stripped and broken like twigs. And, you know, folks just, you know, trying to find their neighbors, trying to find their loved ones. And there's Steve,
Right.
and then there's Petty Officer Knight, and it's like, I'm just, I'm a tool, I'm an asset to help with the mission and get it going and try and find these folks.
Right.
But it was very different because it was the first time that I ever had to interact with people who were like in the command center that were actively affected by what like kind of went down. And it was like, it's a balance in that though, because I see like a lot of people that I work with that have to like, you know, oh, somebody jumped off a bridge, or ladies like, you know, they got folks that are like drowned and they're on the phone and they're trying to like get there as soon as they can and jump out. Like, and it's a process.
You have to be like the calm person.
Yeah.
To respond.
Exactly. Like you have to have that partition. Otherwise, it's like you just. And I've seen people break from it. I've had my moments, but it's just like it's a process, man. But I'm glad that there are people who are willing to do it, because not everybody can.
No.
Yeah. And I'm glad people are doing what you're doing, because you were in school for quite some time.
15 years. I've been in school all my life. Basically.
So with like that stress, like, and I've heard people say this, so maybe you can kind of speak a little bit more to it. Like the brain does not really know, like if, let's say we are watching a scary movie right now and, you know, monster jumps out, right? The brain doesn't know the difference between like that, because it's not real. Right. And then like if somebody like, if you're in a car and somebody just slammed in the brakes in front of you, you're in actual real danger. Right. Like the stress doesn't.
No, your mind makes it real. It's just all about your perception.
Yeah.
That's how people can experience the same event, and the stress levels are completely different. It's just all about your perception. If you feel like it's real, then your body is just going to naturally respond to it. That your HPA axis, hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, is going to kick in, the cortisol is going to be released, the norepinephrine, and all your glucocorticoid is going to be released, catecholamines going to be released, and your body is just going to respond as if you were actually scared, because you are.
That's crazy, because it's like there's so many situations, and I think that like there's so many situations where if you get conditioned to it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you see kids that grow up in rough neighborhoods, kids grow up around violence, kids grow up around abusive homes.
It becomes a norm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just like they go out into the world, and then it's like, oh, such and such happened in blah, 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 this nice neighborhood.
Right.
And people are like, oh my God, that's so tragic.
Right.
How could this happen? This is such a nice town.
Right. And then another person's like, just a normal day in office.
Like,
Another day in office to me. Like,
this is life.
Right.
Like, this happened. It's like,
right.
I'm sorry.
They become desensitized to it.
Yeah. And it's a strange interaction when you start to, like, I guess especially when you leave where you're from. And you travel a lot, and you went from living in California to being in DC. So I mean, it's kind of similar but different.
That travel never really affected me.
Yeah.
I just picked up and moved. Like, I've always been able to do that.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I couldn't be in this job if I was like that.
True. I can just go.
Yeah.
And settle.
Pack up and put it in the bag and just go.
Right.
Yeah. And it's like, for some people, like, if they had to move from like Long Beach to just San Fran or Alameda, they'd be like, my whole world, I don't know anybody.
Yeah.
I'm freaking out. How do I?
I guess I'm a turtle because it's on my back. My home is me.
Right? Right. It's like, you got to pay your bills, the rent. They're like, nothing really changes. Just show up, be present.
Some people are not used to change.
Yeah.
I love change.
I'm a fan of that as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, oh, should I be rooting down somewhere? Or there's something wrong with me? It's like, nah, that's fine.
Rooting in a place where a lot of creativity is happening. Like Culver City, I thought about moving to Culver City because there's like a lot of businesses. People are constantly creating things. There's always something going on. Like, I love that. Yeah, that's probably the best city out here for me, but I've never lived there.
See, it's like right up the street.
Expensive to live in Culver City.
It's slightly expensive, yes. You know, just got to get these businesses going, and make it make sense.
Yes. Yeah, I believe everything happens for a reason. So I'm just glad I'm still an adjunct because I have the ability to do other things. First, I was like, how come I can't get a full-time position? And I am in California. I've never tried in any other state. And I hear that what I've done so far goes a long way in other states. Yeah. But it's California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very desirous place, and I understand why. But I mean, there's other places.
Maybe because I'm used to it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, it's so funny because I would see so many people move from California and go to DC, and be, oh, this place is amazing.
DC is like Culver City to me.
Oh no, and I get that. I get that 100%. Because like, I had a buddy when I was in A school. He's from New York, and he came down, and he was like, "Oh, let's go out to DC. Let's do it." Like, okay, cool, man. We'll go on the weekend. So we drive on up, and park the car, and he was like, "We're going to go to national games first. Then we'll go like to like a hit one of the 5:00 spots, and we'll just bounce around, and then the night will just carry on." So we're like walking we're walking down the street. First place we get to is like, it must have been like probably like freshmen and college age girls, and they're practicing lacrosse in the street. So it's like Hispanic young lady, Indian lady, and the like shorter black girl. It was like lacrosse. It's like, yeah, man, it's East Coast, Native American sports, like lacrosse. The next street, there's like Jamaican family and Dominican family, and they're both barbecuing, and all their music is loud. On the next street, it's like a dude getting unarrested in a cop car. He's like, yeah, man, sorry, like, identity, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, man, it's cool. Like, don't worry about it. And then the next street, it was just pride flags, and everybody. And he was like, "Where the hell am I?" I was like, "Welcome to DC, man." It's like everybody's.
I had to use that go-go music.
Yes,
it's
I'm glad.
Like pots and pans.
Welcome. How dare you?
I was like, "Oh my god!" Okay.
The untrained ear. Yes, it looks like pots and pans.
I had to get used to it. Because it was like some of the transies on the street could play it so well. They could make their own little
Yep.
set out of like trash can tops and stuff, and it would just have the rhythm just going.
Yep.
Yeah,
You don't want to
it used
leave.
go,
It
go.
just
It's
eventually.
so entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the second time. This is the second show back to back that I've talked to somebody from California about go-go music, and I'm proud of that. Like, what is going on over here, and why am I starting to like it?
I was like, cut that off, and I was like, okay.
Cut it up, cut it off, cut it up. That was a switch. Changed up real quick.
Yeah.
So, with your like background and your education, like in your own life, how does that kind of play in? Like, you know, you get stressors, you get all types of stuff. Like, I mean, how do you think about your stressors? Like, I feel like there's probably so much analysis going on.
Basically, I know I have to lower my stress levels because I know what it's doing to my body.
Yeah.
That's how I take it.
Yeah.
It's like I have to de-stress somehow. It's like when you go through, when you're in school, like all your life, people don't think that's stressful.
It is.
You have it good, and it is not that way. It's not, especially with graduate school. That was extremely stressful, especially at Howard, because they try to make you be up here.
Oh, I'm saying.
Because they feel like we have to compete with Johns Hopkins, Harvard, wherever, Yale.
Yeah.
So we have to be more than other students at other universities. So I mean, like even our comprehensive exams, that was 2 days we had to write for 8 hours straight both days on topics that we had no clue we were going to write on. Other comprehensive exams, like at Johns Hopkins or not, they know exactly what they're going to have their exams on, and it's easy.
Yeah.
It was very stressful, and then it's like you go from that stress to you get your doctorate. And you think like that's all you have to do and you set for life. No, you're back at the bottom of the barrel because now you have to face the workforce.
Yeah.
Now you have to continuously produce your research, publishing articles.
Yeah.
All that in order to get top-notch positions or just to get into a full-time position at these universities. By the time you finish your doctorate, it's like, can I take a break? Now, but you have to keep going.
Yeah, keep going.
Your postdoctorate.
Yeah.
It's just more and more and more ladders to climb. And after I was like, you get to the point to where it's like, why do I have to keep proving myself? I felt like I had to keep proving myself over and over and over again. So I'm like, you know what? Let me go into some other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, and this is just me, Steve, talking to you right now. I remember the first psychology class I took was the psychology of play. And I remember just being like the same way, thinking about like my job. You go through like your introduction of like, they call it A school. So your technical school. So it's basically, all right, this is the basic standard of like how you do your job, how you're going to be a marine science technician in the Coast Guard. Like, okay, cool. First day you set up, you know, taking like the normal tests, introductions, everything's cool. And all of a sudden they just start bringing out US code and all these like code of federal regulations and like all these like international shipping laws and then all this maritime pollution laws. And I'm just sitting here and I'm like, there's books and shelves all behind me. I'm like, I didn't know that this would be like this. And then it's over and you're like, fine, I'm done. And then I get to my first unit and they're like, yeah, you have no qualifications, certifications at all. And you have a year to get this qualification. You get it. And it's like, okay, cool. Now you work the next one. It's like, all right, because you can't inspect any of these ships by yourself. And still, that's just the baseline. It's like, all right, now you got to get this in 6 months. And you got this, you got 2 years to get that. And then it's just like, why did I?
All these years have just flown past you. Like, how did I get here? So yes, I had to learn how to de-stress. I do a lot of meditating.
Yes.
And that is definitely key in my life to just get on path and stay balanced into who I am and what I really want to do. Like what entity am I? Like where are my vibrations? How do I vibe?
Yeah.
Meaning like, what am I here to do? What am I here to create?
Yeah.
And that's where I am now.
Yeah.
And I'm loving it.
And that's a dangerous game. Like to the point I was like trying to make before, it's like I kind of kept going in this rabbit hole, but it's just like I forgot to be myself.
Exactly.
Like I forgot, like, hey, what do you do for fun to enjoy your life? Because you're not just supposed to just like keep burying your head in these books until like you get all your qualifications.
And that's why I started off by saying I feel like I was a campus brat, because my whole focus was going to college.
Yeah.
My mom, where she was a library manager at all these libraries. My first job at Dominguez was working in a library because that's all I had done.
Yeah.
Being a secretary, checking out books, helping patrons, microfiche, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like everything was college. My room looks like, what do you call those places on the high school campus when they have like the college? It's called the college something at the high school when they're trying to get the kids to go to college and pick all these.
Oh yeah. What is that called?
I don't know.
Like those like college fairs.
Kind of like a college fair, but there's like a department on a.
Oh, like those guidance counselors. Like
kind of, yeah. So my room, I had all kinds of flags in my bedroom, little. So by the time I was 12, like I knew I was going to get a PhD. Like that's like it was just.
Yep.
If you're raised in it, that's the way you go. Right?
Exactly.
But that wasn't the only thing that I wanted to do. Like so, while I was doing that, like growing into what I wanted, what I had chosen to do, because I thought that was going to take me to the top, you know. But I was just looking at, I would guess say the 3D success. Yeah. 3D level success.
Yeah, all this tangible, like very.
Not 5-dimensional who I am and as a being.
Yeah.
So then I was always baking cakes. I was doing flower arrangements at USC. They were hiring me to do that. I was doing event things then. So, but I didn't really pay attention to it because I'm thinking, oh, this is just a hobby. But not looking at how much I actually enjoyed it and loved it.
Yeah.
Like it brought a lot of creativity out of me. My focus was school. So I was putting things in all those years, putting things inside into me versus the natural things that I was born with coming out of me and helping people in that way. Because I did not take much stock or confidence into thinking that I can make a life out of bringing what I was born with out of me to help people and thrive and survive off of that. I thought I had to put the information inside. I mean, you have to create that balance.
Yeah.
Now I know that 15 years later.
Well, some people never get it, so don't beat yourself up too hard. You know, they never figure out the thing. They never believe in themselves in any way. They just keep executing that 9 to 5.
Yes.
Work for 50 years at this company and then retire and have 7 years to live and die.
That I knew I didn't want to work in a cubicle. That I knew I didn't want to do, which is why I never went that route. That's death. I mean, you gotta do what you have to do. But it wasn't for me. I knew that. And I thought having a PhD would give me the freedom to do whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
No.
It's like, oh, where'd you think you'd be grading all these papers?
You're grading paper. Like my students, like it's more than just, when I walk into a classroom, it's more than just teaching. Yeah. That's just surface. Yeah. I have to deal with, sometimes I have over 500 students in one semester. And you're talking about dealing with personalities. They have their issues they bring into the classroom. It's like I'm a counselor to them. Yeah. I have to pick up on the energy in the room. Yeah. And I kind of gauge my lectures based upon how the room is feeling. Yeah. It's a lot that goes into it. Yeah. And it's very, I wouldn't say stressful, but it can be exhausting. Yeah. Because you're dealing with people. I sometimes teach high school students because a lot of high school students now are getting their AA and their high school diploma at the same time. Yeah. So we go out to high schools and we'll teach there. But it's a lot. Honestly, I would rather teach high school students because they're more open, and they're flexible, and they're really exciting. Yeah. They're excited about the subject matter. And they just want to know how I got to where I got anyway, just period. Right. When it comes to college students, I'm dealing with adults now. Yeah. And they have families themselves. Yeah. They have their own stressors. I have to help them with. I've had students break down and cry on me. It's just a lot that goes with it. And people when folks who don't really know what I do, they look at me like, oh, you're just a professor. You just go and you teach for an hour and a half. You can go home. It's like, it's not that simple. It's never that simple. It's never that simple because when I'm home, I'm not, my work is home with me. My students sometimes email me up to 12 o'clock at night. I have to put a barrier there. Yeah. I'm grading papers. Right. I'm preparing for the next lecture, looking for other ways to to present the concepts in different ways based upon, tailored to the people in the classroom that I have. Because sometimes I can have the same class with different students, of course, but one class can be completely different from the next because of the type of students that I have.
Yeah.
I can't teach this class from the class subject the same way for both classes. It's just a lot that goes into it.
But I'm sure they appreciate it. I mean,
They do.
Yeah,
I get thank you cards. I'm very appreciative of that. My students keep up with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's legit. I mean, because like, especially if you have to cater to those classes.
You do.
You know, I've had professors where it's just like
I've had them too.
they're reading from a script.
I know.
And
I get that a lot. They're like, wow, most professors are not live like this. Like they see what I do and they value it, and that's where I get my enjoyment.
Yeah.
Like I've honestly told some students, school is not for you, and they knew it.
Yeah.
And they took heed to that, and now they tell me, guess what I'm doing? I have my own business doing such and such and such. Thank you so much. Like, it's not for everybody.
Yeah. And that's fair because I mean, some people need to do either technical jobs or be entrepreneurs,
Right.
or maybe they just in the wrong complete field altogether.
I've had those students too.
Yeah, it's like you're an artist. You need to be doing art.
I asked them like, why are you here?
It's like my parents said, you know.
And that's all I get.
Yeah.
My grandfather, I'm doing this because of him, or my mom and my dad, they're paying my way. So I have a lot of those students.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's what's the rewarding aspect of it is me helping them, like truly helping them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where I get my reward from.
That's legit. That's legit. Oh my gosh. So I mean, it's crazy. That I'm glad that we're sitting down because I've been wanting to have a podcast with you forever. Like probably since like 2000. When was it doing this? Yeah, like probably like 17, 18.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it takes a while for all this stuff to make sense. And I'm glad you got time and been able to get down here from Alaska to
I took this semester off, so.
Oh, okay.
I'm starting again actually Monday for the spring semester. I took fall off, so I had a chance just to focus on me.
Yeah. That is very much necessary.
And that's why we're sitting here, right?
That is exactly. I appreciate that. The timing could not have been better. 'Cause, yeah. It's crazy though, because like as you're talking about all the side stuff you're doing and like trying to create that side of, or cultivate that side of you that you've always had.
Yeah.
Like I always like draw back on like why all of this exists.
Yeah.
Is from the same thing. It was just like I love what I do. Like I wouldn't change it for the world, but there's something else that I've always wanted to do that's there.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's funny because like I remember I was telling my buddy, I was like, when I first joined the military, I was like, I wanted to do public affairs. That's the job I wanted, but it's a 4-year wait, and I was not going to be a fireman on a ship for 4 years, in the bilge covered in oil, slinging cocaine, and living in South America, catching people on the ocean. Like I was like, I don't want to do this job. I gotta get out of here. I was like, what's the next best thing? And I was like, I like
catching people on the ocean.
That's it. Like chasing submarines full of cocaine. It's fun the first couple of times. Then it's like we found a bunch of migrants. We got to go get them. I'm like, now we got to stand security on these people. And I'm like, oh goodness, like I don't want to do this. I was like, all right, what's the science stuff at? Where's all the textbooks with all the nerd stuff? I'm a nerd. Let's do this. Let's do some nerd stuff.
Yeah, you have to have that balance.
Yeah.
You just have to have something that's going to feed every part of you.
Yeah.
And that was just being in school blocked out a lot of that. I mean, I'm not ungrateful. Like, I'm glad I went that route because had I not, then I was always thinking about what could have happened. Yeah. So I had to complete that path. Now I'm doing this path.
Yeah.
Together with the first one.
I think this is the best way to go. Like you have
You have to do all of it.
Yeah.
You have to use all of you is what I found.
Yeah.
You have to. I mean, what else is there to do? Except for get into the culture, which is boring. You got fashion, you have music, which I love.
Right.
But still, there's still a culture. Fashion, music, the new emoticons, keeping up with the new whatever. It really doesn't even matter. Like, it's nothing.
It doesn't end. There's not enough hours in a day to consume it all.
Right.
And at some point, it's like, what is it doing to you?
Right.
Because like it's part of your diet,
Right.
just as much as like it's food or
Like, when do you tap into you?
yeah.
Yeah. So I do, like, with my kids, like, we breathe in, breathe out every night. And I help, like, I taught my son the tree pose. I said, well, she tries to do the tree pose. She falls. But she's 4.
So it's okay. she's a strong 4.
She's a strong.
I don't know. That young lady is strong. She's a 4 and she's strong.
That's a little Hercules.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like, I think it's so important because I didn't want them to go through life and then have to backtrack, like find their way back.
Yeah.
I feel like they are where they need to be now.
Yeah.
And start from there. You know, don't get sidetracked later. No, start off sidetracked and then have to go back to your natural self. Like, start off where you are now.
Yeah.
And then follow that trajectory.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I listen to my son and what he likes to do. Like, he's into like animals and insects. He has his own YouTube channel. It's like, okay, what do you want to do from here? He's like, I want my own pet store. I want reptiles. I want to just have nothing but reptiles. I mean, he might change later, but that's what he's thinking about. I'm like, okay, so how are you going to do that? What's the name of your store? All right.
Yeah.
What is your stock going to look like? How are you going to publish, to put your business out there? Put yourself out there so people can get business to you can bring business to your store. I just want him to get into that mindset.
Yeah.
He might want to go to college. He might want to just start his business. Either way, I'm going to support him.
Yeah, he
but
might
I just
do
want
both.
him to do his passion. I want him to follow his passions. Same with all that. Follow your passions. You know, don't get to a certain age. I mean, everybody has their own path for a reason. But don't get to a certain age and then be like, I should have done this when I was little and stuck with that and da-da-da-da.
Right.
Start now.
You start always, it's always like something like just stands out to you and then you just fixate on it.
Right.
That's how I was with this. Like, I remember being in middle school and having like a little tape recorder.
Yeah.
And like, I just keep it around me and like record conversations with me and my friends would have.
Yeah.
And I remember the last time I went back home, I found some of those tapes and I started listening to them. And I'm like, oh, okay. I had a podcast and I was like 13, 12, just talking to people. Yeah, so we're out here at the lockers, guys.
Yeah, it shows then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I didn't have a name for it. It didn't exist. And like, it was something I just kind of kept to myself.
Yeah.
And I just like, I would mess around with my friends with it. But then it's like, all right, well, if you keep doing it, then it just becomes, but I'm glad that this happened because like joining the military, I've had a bunch of life experiences. I've traveled the world.
Yeah.
I've seen some wild stuff. And I don't know, it's just, it changed my life completely for the better. And now like, I'm just like, I'm giving back to myself.
Right.
So it's like, all right.
That's the best gift ever.
Yeah.
And I'm learning that. And it's like, the feeling, I can't explain how that feels.
Yeah.
Because getting a PhD and where I am now, the level of fulfillment is completely different. I can't explain it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I love it.
Yeah.
I love to be creative.
Yeah. Sometimes I hate having to go to sleep because there's so much stuff I want to keep looking into and researching and like, I gotta take a nap.
My mom was a natural researcher. And she is like that today, to this day.
Oh,
she's like,
is she now?
She go to bed? 3:00 in the morning. I'm like, what? I just had to know what. I was like, go to bed.
Oh,
Wake up in the morning, she was like half asleep. I was like, what did you do?
Oh.
I just had to know about this one thing, and she'll fixate on it until she finds it out.
Oh yeah, I am the same way.
It's like, go to bed.
Oh my God. I remember I was in bed. I was like, all right, I'm gonna go sleep. It's all good. It's 9:00. And I saw this podcast pop up and it was this Navy SEAL talking. And I was like, oh man, yeah, that dude did get arrested for that whole potential war crime thing. I was like, I never really followed up. 5 hours later, I'm up and I'm just pulling that thread. I'm like, well, that was interesting. And I learned everything I need to know.
Right.
Oh, okay, it's 4 a.m. now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get dressed and go for a 6-mile walk, jog, because there's no point in me trying to go to bed now.
Days. Like, dang, dang, it's almost ready. Time to get up again. I ain't going to sleep.
It's like, let me just go ahead and get up and get this coffee going.
Right. And I'm just up, drawing stuff, looking at, creating stuff.
Yep.
Just in my own world. Like at night is when I come alive.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I like Alaska, because it's like it's so dark. Well, especially right now, it's dark.
Yeah.
It's dark at like 2:45 ish where I'm at. Yeah. Sun comes up at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
So it's like there's a whole lot of hours to get stuff done.
That's why I named my business Black Box, because I'm the black box. This is my black box.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like creativity. The creation comes out of dark matter.
Yeah.
That's why I named it that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that you have all that 3D knowledge that you attain in like, traditional institutions. And then there's the traditional institutions with their study of like quantum physics, which is just like old magic that folks already kind of knew. It's just, this is like a Western understanding where it's like it's being quantified and like being like patterned and like explained. Like,
Yeah.
so you were like trying to explain like superposition to somebody, or try to explain, there's a couple other like quantum like ideas or theories. It sounds very like, like magic, like woo woo, like people are like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But then you can break it down at a scientific level, and then you can explain it to people, and they're like, oh, okay, and that's this.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, oh, why'd you call it that in the first place?
Right.
Like, because you don't understand. And what's understood doesn't have to be explained,
Right.
which is the conversation that we have to have with folks outside of our circle sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the 3D route took me somewhere, but it took me nowhere.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, I understand. To our previous point.
Right. Right.
So how do you fit your, like, when we talk about like our diet and all that stuff, like how does like your spiritual diet play into like you nourishing yourself? And
So
yeah.
going into the chakras, yes, we have more than 7 chakras. But I was doing a lot of research to show that we need to, like, if your stomach hurt, like, you need to look at your solar plexus and eat, because the solar plexus is like an orange color. You need to consume foods that are of that color in order to fix that, because the chakras are responsible for a certain set of organs in your body. So you're supposed to eat like things that are that color in order to heal yourself, which is why the food is plentiful with color.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot of vegetables and fruits that have all these beautiful colors.
Yeah.
And that's how we're supposed to heal ourselves.
Yeah.
So I've tried a lot of diets. One of them being a vegetarian. Then I went from being a vegetarian to veganism. And I started to pass out everywhere.
That's not good.
I know. It's just something about, I guess, an animal or the enzymes in it, I don't know, that I actually needed. Maybe I just wasn't doing veganism right. But I tried it twice. I was a vegan for 2 years.
Did you tell everyone that you were a vegan?
Yes. I did.
Not enough, probably. It's probably you needed to tell.
I probably did not.
Probably need to tell more people that you were vegan. Then maybe you would have got those nutrients you were lacking, and you would have passed out. We'll look into
I
it.
literally passed out everywhere. At the mall, fabric stores, like.
When you said everywhere, I was like, oh, she probably passed at the mall. And you're like, the mall? Yep, there that is.
Yeah, fabric store.
Fabric stores. Check.
In the car, like, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it wasn't the right. I mean, it was, and the weirdest part was like whenever I would eat a steak, I felt 100% better.
Yeah.
Like in 30 minutes, I felt I was like, it's just something about me and my body that needs animal flesh. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Peter, but
oh, Peter.
But I'm talking about me here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so veganism wasn't for me. I lost a whole lot of weight that I wasn't trying to lose.
Yeah.
I didn't feel right. I'm like, I'm a grown adult and I look like a little girl. It's like, no. So I started with fish.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so I'm a pescatarian.
Yeah.
Then I was like, no, I actually need to have like beef so I started eating like bison.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
My son he'll eat bison. My daughter is actually vegan.
She doesn't like it at all.
She won't eat it. Well, it depends. So I started her off eating Beyond Beef stuff, and then I stopped that because it started doing some weird stuff to the body. Yeah. And I didn't know what it really was. So then I took her to what's it called, whey protein meats. So I stopped giving her a lot of that stuff because honestly, I don't really know what it is. Right. And I didn't know what it was.
I don't think most people don't know what it is. No. They sell it in the store and they say it's good, and then we eat it, and then
start feeling sick and stuff. So now she just eats what she eats. So like rice and beans, and she loves broccoli. Like she's a vegetable girl. Yeah. My son is a fruit person. He's like a fruitarian. Yeah. If Jaden can eat a fruit all day, like he would do that. Like so much so into my mom planted an apple tree in the backyard along with an orange tree, avocado, because he eats that much fruit. Like Jaden can literally eat fruit all day long. I should have known when I first brought him home. Like I sat him near a bowl of apples. So I was like, "Where's the man?" I was like, "By the apples," and he's been by the apples ever since. But yeah, that's just their diet. They're naturally that way. She's into vegetables. He's into fruits. Can I get him to eat vegetables? Yes, but not as much as fruit. Can I get her to eat fruit? Yes, but not as much as vegetables. That's just how they are. Yeah. So I just kind of go with the flow of how they eat. I don't know how I got on that subject. But yeah, so I stopped labeling what I was. Right. So no longer a pescatarian. I'm no longer a vegan. I'm no longer a vegetarian. I just eat based upon what I feel my body needs. I just let my body tell me what I need, what I'm lacking, based upon the taste that I get. Yeah. So if I have a taste for, a hamburger, maybe I'm low in some type of protein somewhere. Or if I have a taste for, a carrot. Yeah.
It's like I need vitamin K or whatever it is.
My body needs some calcium. So yeah, I just kind of go with the flow now.
I'm with that. Yeah, I feel that's where I'm kind of like. My mom used to always say, like, she's like, I would just sit like whatever in front of you, but then I would mostly just eat like vegetables. Yeah. Vegetables, like fruits. Yeah. That's it. Like every once in a while some meat. And then the next thing is just like, all I want is barbecue. Yeah. Like barbecue, please.
Sometimes you just get the craving for a specific type of meat. Yeah. And I just go with it. Yeah. And it's not like, just everything in moderation. Yeah. I cut a lot of sugar.
But this is America. Yeah. So I know. Moderation is
out of null and void. I know. Which is why obesity is such an epidemic here. But
yeah, our relationship with food is weird. Like it's consumption based. Like it's go to a window, yell at a board, yell at a very bright, colorful board.
They have linked food. The media has linked food to fun.
Yep.
The psyche. So like when you're depressed,
all you need is something with extra cheese.
With everything you do, there's something to eat with it. You go on a picnic, you eat a sandwich. You
put some bacon on it, you'll feel better. Put some bacon on it, you'll feel better.
Make it bacon. Bacon wrapped hot dogs. I still have not wrapped my head around that. I've never had one. It just don't even look right.
I've definitely wrapped my mouth around it. Pause. I don't want to hear none of these glizzy jokes from y'all.
Bacon wrapped shrimp. It's like, how do you mix a pig with a shrimp? But it's all about taste and what it, just feels good. I'm a foodie. I consider myself a foodie. I like food that tastes good, but I like to taste different types of food. Yeah. That actually tastes something different than what I get from like an eatery out here. Like I like that. Yeah. I would say Epicurious, a little.
Are you type of person that doesn't like their food to be touching?
Oh no.
Okay, because I was about to end this. I was gonna wrap this up.
I'm into a crock pot.
Okay.
My kids love my crock pot food. I love crock pots. It takes forever, like 7 hours, but it's so good.
It's so good.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't mind my food touching.
I started making like a lot of vegan chili when I was like when I first got to Alaska. And I was like, oh, I'm using my crock pot, make vegan food, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, this is taking way too long.
Yeah. My son, he's like, is it done yet? No, it's like 4 more hours.
Yeah, so that that was something that I would do before I go to sleep. Mm-hmm. But then I'd like wake up in the middle of the night and just stare at it like, I can't believe you're not done yet.
But it's so worth it. My problem is I can't make enough. I think I need a bigger crock pot. Yeah.
You can always use a bigger crock pot.
You can, yeah. With the andouille sausages. Oh my God.
So, what does the future look like for you? What are you trying to? And I feel like, especially with last year and just trying to move forward and like getting rid of some things that were not good for me.
Yeah.
I can finally see what the future looks like for me.
I mean, COVID is a disaster, but it was a blessing.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, it's so weird. It's like I feel like it interrupted and stopped a lot of things. I heard a lot of things, but it liberated a lot of people.
I was one of them.
Yeah.
Because I was able to take some time off to stop and think about me and what I had a chance to focus on me.
Yeah.
Not like constantly going from school to school trying to provide for my kids.
Yeah.
As a single parent. Like, yeah. I was able to stop and like pause and take a real break and focus on what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And just listen to the universe and what it was speaking to me, not anybody else. And that to me was golden. And so my future looks like creativity.
Yeah.
I'm just grateful. I'm truly grateful. I feel like I have a second chance to do what I really want to do.
Yeah.
And that's the path I'm going to do. That's the path I'm going to go. Without any fear or doubt, because I had a lot of that. But now I have the confidence to step out on my own and know that I can make this happen because I have the innate ability to do it. Mm. Like, that's what I learned. That's what I picked up. And I'm still developing, but I have the confidence and the self-encouragement to do it versus upon relying on a plan outside of me in 3D to take me somewhere.
100%.
That was the PhD route.
Yeah. No, I feel that.
My future, I'm excited. I'm excited. There's nothing holding me back anymore.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of this past year did for a lot of folks. It's just like, oh, this foundation is not as sturdy as we all thought it was. Like, this is kind of some toothpicks right. on this foundations that we thought were solid oak. Yeah, and
like it just wasn't
right. And the things that we thought that were good for us, we had to let go. The things that we were holding on to, we had to let go. And it's just like, hey, like my peace and my happiness are the most important to me.
Right.
And there's so many people losing their lives, and there's so many people who's just the carpet just got swept right from underneath them. Like, screw it. Like, do the best you can do. Right. Like, whatever's like bringing you joy and bringing you peace, and the things that are just like, yeah, we're gonna have to like work hard at trying to get our dreams off the ground.
But it just doesn't feel like it.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
That's what I told my son, that if you know you're doing the right thing when you're working your butt off and you don't feel it because it's fun, like it's innovative, like it's it just takes all of you, and you just pour yourself into it. Yeah. Hours and you don't even feel it. It's just like nothing. It's nothing. Versus doing something that you really don't want to do. And you're just like, oh my God, when is this going to end? It takes forever. Yeah. It's a big difference.
100%.
He's starting to see it, but he sees it in me. He's like, Mom, you're so happy now. I'm like, I'm less. He was like, it's like stress, but it's you stress.
Yeah, like good stress. Like good stress, yeah.
He's like, wow. And I have so much more time to be with them and play with them. Not like all exhausted and like, don't, go do something else. Like, I have time. I can spend time with them.
Yeah. And be like real present and yeah. Not thinking about all the stuff you have to do. Yeah.
Going, next thing you know, they're like 5 and 10. It's like, when did this happen? I missed all those years.
Right.
Yeah. you put yourself in a different position when you trust in your own abilities. Yeah. And like you can just take the time to sit here and do a podcast.
Yep. 100%. Drink some coffee.
Drink some coffee and chill.
I like this. I like this. Yeah.
Amazing people.
Yeah.
It's like as you elevate yourself to who you really are, you meet other people on that same vibrational.
100%.
And it is amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm flying. That's how I feel. It's amazing.
It is a great feeling. It is a great feeling. Like it's always crazy to me that I will never take this feeling for granted. But it's just like I think back about when I first joined the military and like who I thought I was going to be, because it was just like I felt like that was the end of my youth. Like I felt like that was the last part. I was like, oh, I was a young person at this moment. And I think back at the conversation that I had to myself, like now, and I was like, oh, what you doing? Oh, look kind of professional around here. Seems like we did what we were supposed to do.
Yeah.
Checks out. It's all good. Yeah, high five, guys. Like, you don't understand the things we went through to get here, dog.
You see,
Yeah.
3 years ago when you first asked me to do a podcast,
Yeah.
I just hesitated because I didn't know what to, I was like, what can I say?
Yeah.
Because I wasn't where I am now.
Yeah.
And that's why I was telling Jeremy, I was like, I am now to a place where I feel like I have something to talk about.
Yeah.
Because now I'm back to myself.
Yeah.
That's what took so long. I had to get back to me.
And I felt like I needed to get to a level, in a sense, it was just like the show didn't look exactly how I wanted it to look.
Yeah.
And I had to be comfortable enough to be like, if I approach somebody and I'm like, hey, you want to be on my podcast? Like, I need to be more confident in what I'm doing. I need to be more confident in my skills. Like, if they show up and I'm just like, oh, this goes here and I can attach this in and all this HDMI goes out, and I'm like taking forever to get this set up. And they're like, what the hell is this dude doing?
Call me back when you get this stuff
I was like, yeah, send me back, man. I mean, it took me a while, but then eventually it was just like, sit down, write down what you want, figure out exactly, where you're trying to go with this and what it's going to take to get there.
Yeah.
And it just broke out the old dry erase board and be like, I need this, 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 and this.
You have to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah. And it's like, look at this operation manual until you understand it completely what this piece of equipment does. So if you run into an issue, you can fix it on the spot. And like, and it just, now we're kind of here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
In everything you're doing, because I can't wait till you throw me. I got some parties that I want you to put together for me. Put some money in your pocket.
All right.
Couple dollars.
All right.
All right. But yeah, this was fun.
It was.
Yeah. I would like to do this in the near future, just to kind of get a pulse check on how you're doing.
Yeah.
Yep. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
This is awesome. And thanks for you crazy kids for sticking around and listening to these stories. I appreciate y'all. Remember to like and share and subscribe to all the stuff, the YouTube, Spotify. Where else am I at? Oh,
Instagram.
iTunes. Yeah, Instagram, Facebook.
Is Twitter still happening?
I think Twitter's the thing. I think I got an email that I'm supposed to report to Twitter. With my keyboard ready.
Now everything is just Instagram.
Yeah, well, Twitter's still a thing. Yeah, Twitter's still a thing, definitely. Yeah. Even though folks are getting kicked off.
Oh. Wow.
I have to wait till tomorrow to talk about that because he's still my boss.
Oh.
No worries.
Oh.
Until next time. Like Joe.
Peace.